What is up, everybody? Welcome to the West Coast Defensive Channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to never miss out on our video and our content. But today we are talking Aaron Rodgers. Yep, Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, a lot of drama, right? A lot of drama coming out of Green Bay. Apparently, Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. Super unhappy ever since they drafted Jordan Love, which is what I said would happen last season. I said he was going to have a bad season because of the Jordan Love pick. Clearly, he did the opposite. He had an MVP season, and then what does he do? Demand a trade. Uh, does is I, it's crazy, right? It's crazy to think that a Super Bowl caliber quarterback who won a Super Bowl and now who just comes off of an MVP season wants out. What is going on here? There's a lot to it. The Jordan Love pick, I think, is really the issue here. Green Bay drafted Jordan Love in the first round instead of getting Rodgers weapons, instead of getting defensive help, instead of getting offensive help, which is what Rodgers wants. And then how did they lose last season? How did they miss the Super Bowl last season? I mean, they got destroyed by Tampa, but in the first half, one of their cornerbacks got beat uh, as Brady, throws a touchdown to end the half to run up the score. After that, Green Bay had no chance, right? You know, Rodgers is unhappy. They only won one Super Bowl since he's been there. They only won two Super Bowls with Favre and Rodgers. So what is going on here? There's something wrong going on, and I think Aaron Rodgers is fed up with it. I mean, he is fed up with it. That's why he's saying, "I'm not playing. Like, I'm out. I want a trade. This is what it is. Fix it." And they're not going to fix it. I don't think this relationship is going to be fixed. And even if he stays on the team and plays, the relationship's gone. He doesn't want to be on this team anymore. He's done, especially with the pick they made in the first round of Eric Stokes. Stokes, who's a player they probably could have got in the second round anyways, and there was some more offensive help for Rodgers, but clearly Green Bay said, "No, we're gonna make sure our team is good." I don't disagree with the pick. I like the pick of Eric Stokes. Maybe not in the first round, but they needed secondary help. That's, like I said before, that's how they got beat in the playoffs this season, because they didn't, their secondary wasn't great. Brady destroyed them. So I'm not against the pick. I understand it, but with Rodgers not wanting to be on the team, and that, clearly the organization said, no, we're going to worry about our draft, which I think is better. I think that is the right choice. However, what do you do with Rodgers? I think it's over. I think, that Green Bay needs to move on. It's the same thing that happened with Favre too. It's these quarterbacks, these great future Hall of Fame quarterbacks perform well, and then it just dies out, and they leave bruised. They leave not bruised, but they leave. They just don't leave in the right way. It's gonna be a hard exit for Rodgers. He wants nothing to do with the organization anymore, even though he brought them a Super Bowl and he was their quarterback for years. It's one of those situations that sucks, and it's weird that Green Bay has had that happen twice now. um, but what does Green Bay do now? Where do they go from here? First off, I think they should trade him. They need to. If they trade him now or they cut him right now, that's $16 million plus on the books for their cap space. So they have to wait until June 1st. June 1st, anytime they trade him or release him after that, they get an extra $16 million added back to their books. So they're going to wait. It's May 7th right now as I'm recording this. They're going to wait. We're going to get a month of nothing. We're going to get a month of rumors. And then Green Bay is going to see who's still interested. Is Denver going to find another quarterback to replace Locke, or are they going to be happy with him in a month and then say, we don't need to trade Rodgers? Is the whole Deshaun Watson legal cases, are they all going to be solved? And is he going to be innocent? Are all those going to be proven, those are fake stories just to mess whatever? And then, boom, Denver has a quarterback in Deshaun Watson potentially they could trade after, and Green Bay waits too long and they miss out on trading Rodgers. Or is Deshaun Watson's case going to be proven true? And, that'll happen if it does. But is the market even hotter for a quarterback at that point? Are other teams going to be interested? Teams like Washington, teams like, I don't know. I don't know who else needs a quarterback that bad who would make a trade for Rodgers. No, not Tennessee. Whatever. Washington is a team that can make a trade right there. And Are they going to be more interested? We just don't know. There's a lot that can happen in a month, but ultimately, I do think Denver is the place for Rodgers to land, not for Rodgers to succeed necessarily, but for Denver to make a run at a Super Bowl. I think it's a good pick for them, and also, absolutely fantastic value trade for the Packers. Okay, now I said in this week's episode of our podcast, The West Coast Offensive, which you could check on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and most major podcast services. I said that I asked Drew the question: would Denver trade Sertan the second to Green Bay to get Rodgers? And he said no, and it makes sense. Like that's why would you draft Sertan that high at 9 just to get rid of him without getting Rodgers back in return? Probably not worth it, right? Probably not worth it for Green Bay. However, I saw a trade that ESPN predicted for the Broncos that could work, and I am fully on board with it. Okay, so let me pull this up real quick. All right, so this is the trade that ESPN posted that could work. And this is a trade that I kind of was hinting at and I just didn't fully express it. So I'm really happy about this and it makes sense to me. So Packers would get, so Denver would send them Sertain the second, which I said, is that possible? Could it happen? I think it could. And that's ESPN's pick. Tim Patrick, wide receiver, and then Drew Lock, quarterback, sends over to Packers along with Denver's first round draft pick in 2022 and 2023. So two first round picks and three players, one of them being their first round pick this year, Patrick Surtain. All right, that's what they would send over to Packers, and then in return they would get Aaron Rodgers and Eric Stokes in return. So you get two draft picks and a receiver going over to Denver. You swap quarterbacks and Drew Lock and Aaron Rodgers, and you swap first round draft picks of this year, Eric Stokes and Surtain the second, which still helps, which actually helps Green Bay tremendously more. They get a probably definitely an all pro cornerback, possibly could push farther, but we'll see on the development. But Sertain's gonna be is probably gonna be a fantastic player in the league. And if Green Bay could pick up a player like that for their secondary, that's pretty awesome, especially in the division where I mean Green Bay's on top right now, but hey, Justin Fields went to Chicago. Now that division got a lot different. We don't know what Minnesota's going to bring. They go back and forth every year. And even though I like Detroit and I think Detroit can be better than people think, they're not going to push for a title this season. They're not going to. So it is what it is. So Green Bay, I think, could take. I don't think Green Bay is necessarily in a position where they have to, but for quarterback play, having a young secondary to lock down that defense in that division, definitely going to help, right? And they already went defense with Eric Stokes, and you could swap that and get a better player at that position. Yes, you get a worse quarterback, but you also get two more draft picks. You get two more first round draft picks next year. So you are set for the future. You will compete in this division that isn't strong. Maybe Chicago comes out on top with Justin Fields. Maybe that happens. That's fine. It's still a young quarterback. And your defensive front is still pretty good. With I think it's the Smith brothers down in up in Green Bay. So either way, their defense is pretty good on the front end. The back end needs help. They addressed that in the draft. Improve it with this trade by getting Sertain and getting off of Rodgers because Rodgers is just not the guy. We had it last season, all the stories about it. This season, now we're having more stories about it that he is not wanting to be there. Move off of him. Yes, he's a great player. Yes, he had an MVP season, but last season was you drafted the quarterback. I want to show you why that was dumb. And now he's like, all right, I'm out. Trade him. Get those two full first round draft picks. Get a decent receiver and get a fantastic cornerback and get a cornerback in Surtain and get a quarterback that can be okay. Drew Lock, I don't like him. I don't think he's the guy in Denver, and I don't think he's worthy of being a starting quarterback as of right now. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't put it together yet. Maybe he puts it together in Green Bay. Maybe. I think, honestly, I don't know if he would be great in Green Bay, but it's a newer regime in Green Bay, and the GM and Rodgers relationship is done. So I really think they should trade him. I don't think, like I said earlier, we're not going to get anything before June 1st because the Packers would waste $16 million more. So they're going to wait until then. We'll see if the market is still hot for Rodgers in a month's time. But I think the trade here is Denver before Rodgers. Looking at Denver, they're the team to beat. not the team to beat. They may have had a great draft, but the one question mark I had about the draft was them drafting Surtain overall. When we look at their secondary, they have Kareem Jackson, they have Justin Simmons, who's a fantastic free safety. Ronald Darby played well, and then they brought in Kyle Fuller, which just solidifies that defense even more. And then they drafted Surtain the second, which I don't understand why. They made some great moves in the secondary, and I think they were fine on the defensive side. I would have rather they were on the board at 9. Justin Fields was sitting there. They didn't get him. They did not draft him. Is that because they know Drew Lock is the guy? Or is there something else going on? Do they think they could actually land Rodgers or Watson? And I think that is the case. I don't know why you wouldn't draft, or even Bridgewater. They do have Bridgewater, and maybe they think Bridgewater can do it, and they have a cheap quarterback option, but Justin Fields would have been cheap too for them. So who knows? There's just so many question marks around the way they drafted, even though they had a solid draft after the first round. It's just, why did they leave Fields on the board? I thought he was a perfect fit for Denver. And since he fell to them, you make the pick. It was surprising that they didn't. And this makes me believe that they think they can land another quarterback. And if that price tag is perhaps certain, I think you're happy with trading him. Of course, ultimately, you don't want to trade your first round pick, but in the case of the trade that ESPN suggested, trading Certain and getting Stokes back, just swapping first round picks, it's been done before. We saw it with Eli and Rivers a while ago. They just swap first round picks. So it's not new. It's been done before. It's not often though. And I think this is what ultimately is going to happen. I do think the way Denver drafted, I think they kept in mind that, hey, we probably will get a quarterback. So let's shore up everything else. They want defense. They went defense. They could still address defense with this Green Bay trade. And I think that makes sense to me. Will they do it? Probably not. Probably they're going to hold on to Rodgers, or Rodgers will retire. And this will be a weird, slow fizzle end to the Rodgers era in Green Bay. But hey, it is what it is. We'll keep our eyes on this Aaron Rodgers drama and see if any other news comes out and if a trade actually happens. So keep your eyes on the channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell to never miss out on our content, especially our review of when that Aaron Rodgers trade probably happens. Other than that, we'll see you next time.